As all of us know, the industries are moving towards building new processes on a day-to-day basis. Either it be a small organization or a big organization, all of them are aiming to automate its business processes in a way that complements the manual strategizing and processes remain uninterrupted. Robotic process automation is the new age technological marvel which is being utilized by enterprises to automate these kinds of tasks and processes. And to use robotic process automation, we need RPA tools. And one of the most popular tool in the RPA industry is UiPath. So hi all, this is Sahiti on behalf of Edureka, and I welcome you to this session on what is UiPath. In this session, guys, we'll be focusing on the fundamentals of UiPath. So without any further ado, let's take a look at the topics for today's session. So the topics for today's session are, as you can see on my screen. We'll start with introduction to RPA, and then we'll look into the top RPA tools. After that, we'll look into what is UiPath, and then we'll look into the different editions offered by UiPath. Once that is done, I'll show you how to install UiPath, and then we'll look into the architecture of UiPath. After that, we'll look into the project templates in UiPath and the different UiPath components. And finally, we'll look into a simple hands-on where I'll show you how you can use UiPath. So I hope the agenda is clear to you guys. All right, so that's great. On that note, let's take a look at the first topic for today's session, that is introduction to RPA. If I have to define robotic process automation for you, then robotic process automation, or RPA, is a methodology in which robots perform a set of tasks by following a process without any human intervention. So these tasks could be either a simple task or a complex task. Now, in the term of robotic process automation, you mainly have to understand the meaning of three different terms, that is robotic, process, and automation. So starting with robotic, so any entity that follows the human actions or mimics human actions are known as robots. Coming to process, process are the sequence of steps which lead to a meaningful activity. So any entity which needs to mimic human action has to follow a sequence of steps. So these sequence of steps are nothing but a process. Finally, coming to automation, any process that is done by a robot without any human intervention is said to be automated. So if I combine all these three terms together, that is robotic process and automation, then mimicking human actions to perform a sequence of steps that lead to a meaningful activity without any human intervention is said to be robotic process automation. So I hope the definition was clear to you. So now when I said robots, I do not mean that physical robots mimic human actions. But these robots are the virtual robots which are deployed using software tools or RPA tools present in the market today. So next in this session, let's look into the top RPA tools present in the market today. So the top RPA tools present in the market today are WorkFusion, Another Monday, Kofax, Contextor, which has been acquired by SAP, Jakarta, Redwood, Blue Prism, NICE, Automation Edge, AntWorks, VisualCron, Automation Anywhere, UiPath, Crayon, and Pegasystems. So these are few RPA tools which are present in the market today, guys, but the list goes on and on and on. I've just mentioned a few of them over here. But out of the lot, if you want to know the top tools which you can use to build automations on, then that is Automation Anywhere, UiPath, and Blue Prism. So these three tools are the top tools present in today's market, and these three tools are expanding their functionalities and features and are also making sure that thousands of bots are getting deployed on a daily basis. So since this session is about UiPath, I'm going to focus more about UiPath over here. So talking about UiPath's strengths, UiPath has been named the market leader with the highest possibility scores in strategy and market presence by Forrester Wave, guys. So if you're someone who is getting started with UiPath or maybe in the field of RPA, then I would suggest UiPath is one fantastic tool that you can get started with. Apart from that, UiPath also ranks number 1 in the fastest growing company in North America, according to Deloitte's 2019 Technologies Fast 500. And companies such as Airbus, NASA, Autodesk, DHL, HP, and Fujifilm are using UiPath on day-to-day basis to automate simple to complex processes. So by this, I'm sure you might have understood that UiPath is a great tool to start with. So if you're new to this RPA industry and RPA field, then trust me, you can start by learning and understanding UiPath because it's really simple to use. And apart from that, also you can automate simple to complex tasks on various environments. So on that note, let's move forward with the next topic for today's session, that is what is UiPath. So by now you might have understood that UiPath is a robotic process automation tool which is used to automate tasks. Now what kind of tasks are automated with this tool? then let me tell you that Windows desktop automation kind of tasks are being automated with UiPath and completely tries to eliminate human intervention. So that was in short about UiPath, guys. All you have to understand about UiPath is that UiPath is a simple tool which is used for RPA, that is robotic process automation, and then you can automate all tasks related to a desktop. So I hope that point is clear to you guys. So now that I've spoken so much about what is UiPath and what is RPA, let's get into the different editions offered by UiPath. So there are mainly 4 editions offered by UiPath, that is the Community Cloud, the Studio, the Enterprise Cloud, and the Enterprise Server. So starting with the Community Cloud, this version is specifically used by small teams or individuals to practice automating tasks on UiPath. Coming to the Studio version, the Studio version is used for individuals who want to use UiPath at an enterprise level. After that, coming to the Enterprise Cloud version, this version of UiPath is a cloud-based version of the entire RPA platform, which consists of the Studio, robots, and orchestrator. Finally, coming to the Enterprise Server, this edition provided by UiPath is an on-premise version of the entire enterprise automation platform, consisting again of the Studio, robot, and orchestrator. So guys, these were the various editions offered by UiPath. So let's just look into the various features offered by each of these versions. So starting with the Community Cloud version, the Community Cloud version is always free. It offers no insights. It offers 1 orchestrator license. It comes with more than of 99.5% availability. It offers 2 Studio licenses and 2 Studio X licenses. It also offers 2 attended plus 1 attended robots and offers no additional robots. Apart from that, it offers tree automation capacity and no user management support is provided. And finally, it also offers 30 megapixels per minute AI computer vision and can be activated by online. Moving on to the Studio version is free for 60 days and offers no insights. It also does not offer the orchestrator license and there's no availability. But yes, it offers 1 Studio license, 1 Studio X license, 1 attended robot, and no additional robots are offered. It does not offer any automation capacity or user management support or the computer AI vision, but it can be activated both in the offline and the online method. Moving on to the next version, that is the Enterprise Cloud version. The Enterprise Cloud version is free for 60 days. It offers no insights. It offers 1 orchestrator license and comes with more than 99.5% availability with UiPath support. It also offers 2 Studio licenses, 2 Studio X licenses, and comes with 2 attended plus 1 attended robots. But not only this, but the additional number of robots offered are unlimited and can scale from the UiPath Enterprise Cloud. It offers centralized user management and offers around 240 megapixels per minute AI computer vision and can be activated online. Finally, coming to the last type of version offered by UiPath, that is the Enterprise Server. The Enterprise Server version is again free for 60 days. It offers 1 Insight license, 1 orchestrator license, and provides high availability structures. It offers 10 Studio licenses with 10 Studio X licenses and provides 10 attended plus 10 unattended robots. The number of additional robots provided are unlimited and can scale with your infrastructure. It also offers centralized user management. The infrastructure is dependent and can be activated both online and offline. So guys, these were the various features offered by the different versions offered by UiPath. So for your better understanding, I'm going to show how you can install and set up UiPath on your system. So let's move forward with the next topic for today's session, that is UiPath installation. So to start with the installation of UiPath, the first thing that you must keep in mind is that you should make sure that your PC is connected to a power source. You must have at least 8 GB RAM and then you must have Windows 7 or higher versions. In case your system runs on Windows OS in a language other than English, then you must also install the corresponding language pack for .NET Framework. And web browsers such as Internet Explorer, Google Chrome, Mozilla Firefox, or Microsoft Edge are required for browser automation. So make sure that you satisfy these prerequisites and then you choose the right edition. So you can choose any edition that you wish to based on your requirement. Here what I'm going to do is I'm going to install the Community Cloud version. So to do that, what I'll do is I'll just go on Google and type in install UiPath. And then I'll go to this particular URL, that is uipath.com/start trial. So this is the URL that you have to go for. So over here, if you observe, you can see the various versions that you can pick up from. So you have the community cloud version, the studio version, the enterprise cloud version, and also the enterprise server version. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just install the community cloud version for this particular session. So to do that, what I'll do is I'll just click on this try it button. Now, once I click on this try it button, you'll be redirected to this particular page where you have to log in through any of the following. That is either through your Gmail account, your Microsoft account, your LinkedIn account, or with your email. So what I'll do is I'll log in with my email, right? And then I'll mention the details. Now, once I mention the details, I'll just click on this option of I confirm that I agree to the terms of use. So if you want to go forward, you can go forward and check the terms of use. And then I'll click on sign up. Now, once you mention the details and click on sign up, this is the page that you'll be redirected to where you'll see that, email verification pending. So over here, you can see that, there's a mail that has been sent for verification. So what you have to do is you have to just log into your email and then click on the link that they have sent you. So what I'll do is I'll just go back to my mail. All right. So once you open your mail, this is the kind of mail that you'll see from UiPath. So you just have to click on this button of verify email. And then once you click on this button of verify email, you'll see that, email verified successfully and you can log in. So what I'll do is I'll just mention the email ID that I just mentioned and the password. And then I'll click on login. Now, once I click on login, this is the first page that you'll see. That is welcome to automation's first era. And then you can download your versions. So over here, you can see that, you can download your studio. That is the UiPath Studio. So guys, when you install and set up UiPath, UiPath Studio is one important component that you have to install. Then you have to set up your orchestrator and also robot. Well, in this session, what I'll do is I'll just download the UiPath Studio version and show you how you can use UiPath Studio. But yes, if you want to understand how to access the orchestrator services and connect your first robot, you can refer to our session on UiPath Orchestrator. So since this session is an introductory session of UiPath, let me just download the UiPath Studio and show you. So to download, I'll just click over here and then you can see that, an exe file is getting downloaded over here. So let's just wait for that to happen. And once that happens, we'll just set up our UiPath Studio. Right, so as you can see, my UiPath Studio setup has been downloaded. So I'll just double click over here. Now, once the UiPath Studio loads, you'll see how it looks. So let's just wait for that to happen. So once the UiPath Studio installs, this is how it looks. So this is the first screen that you see once your UiPath Studio installs. I'm not going to go into the depth of this right now. So what I'll do is I'll just go back and discuss the architecture of UiPath. And once that is done, we'll look into the different components that you need to understand in UiPath Studio. So let's start with the next topic for today's session, that is UiPath architecture. Now, the UiPath architecture consists of mainly three components. That is the UiPath Studio, UiPath Robot, and UiPath Orchestrator. So you can understand UiPath architecture as the UiPath platform components also, guys. So mostly what happens is that you require the UiPath Studio to do small automations. But if you have to do a large automation, or maybe if you want to deploy a bot into production, then you need your UiPath Robot and UiPath Orchestrator. So let's start by discussing the UiPath Studio first. So starting with UiPath Studio, as you just saw, is a visual designer which lets you build automation workflows with pre-built activities. It offers a GUI dashboard and offers various complexity levels and types of recorders. Not only this, but it also offers features for logging and exception handling and integrates with the OCR technology as well by offering reusable components. So I'm not going to go into the depth of UiPath Studio right now, but if you want to get a hands-on experience on UiPath Studio, then you can refer to my session on Introduction to UiPath Studio. For this session, what you have to understand about UiPath Studio is that it's just a visual designer which you can use to automate your simple tasks. Coming to robots. So robots, as the name suggests, are those entities which execute the automation workflows created in the UiPath Studio. So once you create an automation workflow in UiPath Studio, you can execute it by using a UiPath robot. And finally, coming to Orchestrator, UiPath Orchestrator enables you to orchestrate the UiPath robots in continuously executing repetitive processes on various platforms. So let's say you have an environment, a robot, and a process. So what happens is that you first have to create the robots to execute your task, and then you have to create a project and publish it so that you can use it as a process. Now, once you create a process, you have to assign a robot to execute this process in a specific environment, and this will create a job. After that, you can just define the job to upload the project via Orchestrator server, and then you can deploy this project on any number of computers by mentioning the machine key. So over here, what will happen is that, automatically the UI robots will execute and monitor the task if it's a back office processes. And if it's a front office process, then the user executes the project or the task and the UI robot just monitors the task. That's how, guys, UiPath Studio, Robot, and Orchestrator work well together. If you just have to understand simply, then UiPath Studio is the place where you create your automation workflows. UiPath robots are the entities which execute your automation workflows, and Orchestrator is a platform, or you can say is an environment where you can just upload a project and automatically that project will be executed in a specific environment in various number of machines. So I hope the architecture is clear to you. So that was all about UiPath architecture, guys. It's mainly 3 components that you have to understand about. This is a basic session regarding UiPath. So next in this session, we'll look into the various project templates in UiPath Studio so that you understand how you can start by creating various projects in UiPath Studio. So starting with the project templates, guys, these are the various project templates offered by UiPath Studio. So they are basically the process, the library, the orchestration process, the background process, the robotic enterprise framework, the trigger-based attended automation, and the transactional process. So starting with process, a process is basically a blank project which is used to design new automation processes. Coming to library, well, the library is used to create reusable components and publish them together as a library. So these libraries can be added as dependencies to the automation processes. After that, something new that we have in the picture is orchestration process. So this project template is used to implement a process through service orchestration and human intervention, as well as through long-running transactions. After that, we have the background process. Well, this template is used to create a process that does not require user interaction and can run as background processes, and multiple background processes can run concurrently on the same robot. After that, we have the robotic enterprise framework. So this is used to create transactional business processes that follow the best practices for large-scale deployments. So if you want to get in-depth knowledge about robotic enterprise framework, you can refer to my session on UiPath RE framework or UiPath advanced training, and then you'll get a deep understanding about this particular framework. After that, we have the trigger-based attended automation. Well, this kind of template is used to trigger an automation in response to a mouse or a keyboard user event. And finally, we have the transactional process. Well, this template is used to model a process as a flowchart diagram. So I hope the various kinds of project templates are clear to you guys. We have process, library, orchestration process, background process, robotic enterprise framework, trigger-based attended automation, and transactional process. So what I'll do is I'll just create a project and show you. So to create a project, what you'll do is you'll go back to your UiPath Studio, and then you'll choose what kind of project or template that you want to go for. So let's say I want to go for a simple process, that is a blank process. So for that, what I'll do is I'll just double click on process, and then I'll mention the name. Let's say sample demo. Right? And then I'll choose the location. So I'll just let that be the same. And then I can just give the description to be sample demo. So it's not mandatory that, you give description, but it's always a good habit to give a description. Or I would say it's good to maintain the descriptions of each project, because when you work at an enterprise level, then any developer who is picking up your project can understand what that project is related to. So that's the reason you can go forward and give the description, but it's not mandatory, guys. But yes, you have to give the name and the location. After that, you have to click on create. Now, once you click on create, you'll see that the workspace is getting created. So let's just wait for that to happen. Now, once the workspace is created, this is the first screen that you see once you create your project. These are the various panes that you have to understand about that I'll discuss next in the session. But before that, let me tell you that, this is the place where you create your automation workflows for UiPath, and then you can execute the same. So with that, guys, we come to an end to the project templates offered by UiPath Studio. Next, let's move forward with the UiPath Studio components. So as I just opened UiPath Studio, you can see that we have various components present in UiPath Studio. But the main four components that you have to understand are the ribbon tab, the activity pane, the properties pane, and the output pane. So starting with the ribbon pane, guys. Well, the ribbon pane is basically the home tab, the design tab, and the debug tab. So the home tab consists of all the options to create a new project or open the recently opened ones, or maybe open a local project or clone with any other project. Apart from that, you can also go and check out your settings, help options, and the tool options in the home tab. After that, we have the design tab. Well, the design tab is one of the most important tab in UiPath Studio. That is because it has all the functionalities and features related to designing the automation workflow. So like you have new, where you can choose to either create a new sequence or a flow chart, a state diagram, or a global handler. Then you have the save option, then you have save as template. After that, we have the debug option where you can choose to debug your project, and then we have cut, copy, paste. Apart from this, we also have the manage packages section to download and install various packages. Like, if you want Excel activities, then you just click over here, choose for UiPath Excel activities, and then you can just click on install over here. So since it is already installed, it's not showing me the option. But yes, if it was not installed, then it would show the option to install. So let me just show you that with any other activity. As you can see over here, if I have to install this package, then you can just go to this arrow and then you see this option of install this package. So that's how you can use this particular option. Then we have the recording option where you can choose various kind of recorders to record actions. After that, we have the screen scraping option to scrape data from the screen. Similarly, we have the data scraping option to again scrape data. After that, we have user events to automate the task of monitoring the mouse events or the keyboard events and so on. Then we have the UI Explorer to basically manipulate the selectors related to the browser automation. And finally, we also have other factors like remove unused variables, analyze file, export to Excel, and also publish the project so that this particular project can be uploaded on the orchestrator server. Well, that was about the design tab, guys. Now moving on to the debug tab. Now the debug tab has all the options related to the error handling and logging concepts in UiPath. So you have the run option, you have the stop option, then you have step into, step over, step out, retry, ignore, restart, and focus. Apart from this, you also have breakpoint, slow step, highlight elements, log activities, and also open logs. So now I'm not going to go into the depth of error handling concepts in UiPath. So for that, you can refer to my session on error handling in UiPath. Over there, I've clearly explained which option should be used when and how you can use that option. Also, I've given few scenarios over there where you can understand which is the best steps or maybe the best practices that you can follow to debug your projects. Well, that was about the ribbon tab, guys. After the ribbon tab, we have the activity pane. Well, the activity pane is the place where all the activities are present. So you just have to go to this activities option over here, and then you'll see all the activities present. So you just have to search for any activity. Let's say I search for message box, and then I can get the activity named as message box. So similarly, if I search for anything else, I'll get the related activity. Apart from that, guys, let me also tell you that all the activities in the activity pane have been divided into the options that you can see on my screen. That is app integration, computer vision, orchestrator, programming, system, UI automation, user events, and workflows. App integration again has few headings like CSV, Excel, and email, and then they have few activities. Similarly goes for computer vision. So the computer vision also have various activities like CV click, drop down select, and so on. Coming to orchestrator, orchestrator also has various headings like alerts, API, and assets, and each of them again have various activities beneath them. Similar is the case with the others also, guys. So activity pane in short is the pane from where you can select your activity and use it in your automation workflow. Now after the activity pane comes the properties pane. So the properties pane is on the right hand side of the UiPath Studio, and this is used to create or define the properties of an activity. So when you drag and drop an activity into your main workflow, you have to define the properties for the activity, like what could be the variable used, or maybe what value has to be assigned to which value, and then what should be the data type, what should be the scope of activity, and so on. So all these factors are defined in the properties pane. After that comes the output pane, guys. So output pane is the pane where you can see the output, like I would say since it's an automation, you'll see it's happening, but yes, when you debug the project, you'll see each and every step executing in the output pane. So output pane is basically where you can see the output in short. So guys, these are the various panes that you have to understand about in UiPath Studio. So to just give you an overview of UiPath Studio, let's take a look at the hands-on for today's session. So let's start with the final topic for today's session, that is hands-on. So to show you the working of UiPath Studio, what I'll do is I'll just design an automation to reverse a string. So what I'll do is I'll just open my main workflow, and then what I'll do is I'll just drag and drop a sequence. Now let's say we can just name this sequence as sample demo. And after that, what I'll do is I'll just drag and drop an input dialog. So an input dialog is basically used to take the input from the user. So I'll just drag and drop the input dialog. And let's say I mention the text to be mention your name. And in the label, I'll mention the question, what is your name? Now, once the label has been mentioned, the next thing that you have to do is you have to mention your output variable. So to do that, what you'll do is you'll go to the output section in the properties pane of this particular activity, and then you'll click on Control K, and then let's say we mention sample. So this is the variable which will store your input. So let's say my name is Sahiti. I'll mention the name as Sahiti, and this particular value will be stored in the variable sample. Now, once this is done, what you have to do is you have to reverse your string, right? So what I'll do is I'll just mention an assign activity. So I'll just drag and drop an assign activity, and then I'll click on Control K over here, create a new variable, let's say output. And then I'll assign it to, the reverse of the sample variable, right? So for that, we'll mention new string. And then I'll mention sample to char array, reverse, and to array. Right, in the variable section, what I'll do is I'll just change both of them to string type. And then you'll see that the exclamation goes. So that is because, there was an error showing that, maybe the data type was not compatible with the methods that we were using. So if you see in this particular activity, what I've done is that, I've assigned the output variable to a new string, which will take the input as sample, and then it will be converted to a character array, and then it will reverse the string and store it in an array bag, and then store the output as a string. Now what we have to do is we have to display the output, right? So I'll just display the output by using the message box. And then I'll mention the variable name, that is output. So I hope the execution is clear to you guys. So what I'll do is I'll just execute this file. So to execute the file, what I'll do is I'll go to debug file and click on run. So as it says, what's your name? So let's say I mention my name to be as Sahiti and click on OK. You see that the reverse string has come, that is Itihas. Similarly, what you can do is you can also give a space over here. So let's say we execute this file again. I'll mention my name with a space, and let's see what happens. So you can see that, my complete name has been reversed with a space. But if you want detailed understanding of UiPath, then you can refer to our RPA playlist or the UiPath playlist, where we have a session on each and every topic related to UiPath. So if you're a beginner, I would say start with the very basic sessions, that is the introduction to UiPath Studio. But if you're already an experienced professional in UiPath, then you can directly jump onto my session on RPA projects, where I've discussed various kinds of automation in UiPath. So with that, guys, we come to an end to this particular session today. I hope you found it informative. So if you have any further queries related to the session, please comment down in the comment section below. Until then, that's all from my side today. Thank you and happy learning.